Hey everyone, this is Brad, and I kind of wanted to start doing a few countdowns on my channel here, so I thought I'd start it off with the top 5 best video game consoles. So this is based on, the games that are on the system, how easy it is to play, the controls and that kind of thing, and really just the hours that I've spent slaving over these systems. So, without further ado, here's number 5. Ah yes, the good old Nintendo Entertainment System. This started it all. Good old 8-bit fun of stuff. I think the reason I like the Nintendo Entertainment System is because of how innovative and fun it was without being way over the top. They didn't need, an awesome soundtrack or ridiculous graphics, but it didn't stop them from making some of the best games of all time. You got Mega Man, and you got the original Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers. Some of the greatest franchises that Nintendo has started on this console, like Zelda. The one downfall with the Nintendo Entertainment System is the cartridges. They're giant, and you gotta blow in them, and blowing them, and blowing them, and blowing your system, and keep going until it'll turn on and start again. Alright, number 4. Xbox 360. I never had an original Xbox. I just recently bought a 360. So, I can't really compare other than when I would play it at friends' houses. But, I don't know. As far as the next-gen consoles go right now, I think it's the best one out there. But as far as good games that are fun to play, and they're long, and they're enjoyable, and you don't feel like you have to play it, you want to play it, it makes for a pretty good console. I think the one downfall is that you need to plug in the adapter to get live. Why isn't it just built in, like the Wii has built-in Wi-Fi where it can detect around you. Where me, I had to go buy a $100 wireless adapter just to get live from my room. Number 3. The PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 was the coolest thing coming out at the time. It was like the biggest shocker that everyone was like, they're making a second one? No! And everyone was just, off the walls going bonkers, and I was too, and I had to get one. I think I bought an original PlayStation after I got a PlayStation 2 because it was so cheap. Like, I would go to a GameStop and, it'd be like 20 bucks for a PlayStation. The games on that, it was like, games came out on GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2. And almost every single game in existence was PlayStation 2, except for, a few selects on the Xbox. And I think I've always just liked the PlayStation controllers. They're easy, they fit into your hands well, and it's not too hard to use. It's not an overuse of buttons. PlayStation 2, I can't tell you how many hours I spent playing, Tony Hawk Underground, or Final Fantasy X, Jak and Daxter, and just all those. They were all great games. Number 2. The Super Nintendo SNES. This took everything that the original Nintendo had and just bumped it to the next level. And yeah, I'm a pretty old school gamer, but it's pretty hard to argue that the Super Nintendo was not just an amazing system. Still had the 2D effect to it, with a few games where maybe you could go up and down and left and right on the floor, but other than that, it still had kind of the 2D feel, but it was amazing. You get Donkey Kong way ahead of its time, and you got, everyone taking that jump to 16-bit. Like, you got Mario Kart coming out, you have the Super Mario World, and it's just so much bigger than than the original Mario ever could be. It's got the entire world, the map, and the levels are just so much, everything's crisper than the 8-bit. It's just, beats it by a mile. They would release games on the SNES that were for the original Nintendo, just because they're reformatted and better on the new system. And that was back when movie games were fun. You know, you had Aladdin and The Lion King, Jungle Book. They didn't make up their own story that didn't have anything to do with the movie. It was pretty much the movie laid out into a fun, side-scrolling level. And I don't know what went wrong, but apparently that's impossible now. And the controls were nice too. I mean, it took the original Nintendo that was just so simplistic, and then you get the Super Nintendo, you get 2 more buttons for, you know, some little special move like a spin kick or whatever. And then you get the L and R buttons. I don't even know what they do. But it's like, dude, these are for my left and right fingers. They're thinking about other fingers other than your thumbs. They're branching out. And that is innovation. Number 1. Haha, the N64. I mean, seriously, the N64 brought video games from 2D to 3D. Single-handedly. In my opinion, there is no better console, because I can still whip it out today and play it for hours and still have just as much fun as when I first got it, and not feel like, oh, these are such bad graphics, or, you know, the games are too short. They weren't. They were great. These games are just as long as these new games, if not longer, because of the little hidden things they would have, or unlocking codes and cheats and everything. I mean, seriously, these have the best games that I could think of growing up. Super Mario 64, GoldenEye, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, the original Super Smash Bros., Banjo-Kazooie, and all of these other new franchises that they just like came up with and did amazing with, like Diddy Kong Racing, or, you know, and then they bring in Star Fox 64, amazing game. You know, they made Donkey Kong 64, and yeah, there were a lot of games that they just put 64 at the end of and were kind of crappy. But even those games are sometimes better than some of the games they're releasing nowadays.